Today we'll be clearing up some fog about AI within finance and risk by diving into what, why, and how. My colleague Brian Mudhara and Stephan van Windt scheduled some time to provide us with a practical idea on how AI looks like in their work. Brian is active in asset liability management at one of our banking clients, currently working on his first use case for predictives on balance sheet management. Next to him, our value stream lead, finance and risk, Stephan van Windt, currently working on a core system migration, however, exposed to some interesting real-life AI cases. What can you expect today? We'll be talking about what role AI plays in their jobs, about AI strategy that they believe in, some practical AI use cases in finance and risk, but most certainly also cover pitfalls to be aware of. But that's all in a minute. First, I'm curious on how AI got you too excited, but more on a personal level.
Yeah, thanks, Cherien. So I first stumbled into AI, I think around 2019, when I went through a documentary by Ilya Sutskever. But it was quite interesting because it touches on how AI was going to revolutionize our world, how it was going to change the way of doing things, how it was going to make things easier for us, how life was going to change through AI.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've seen right now is since the introduction of generative AI and through ChatGPT, a lot of things have changed over time.
Yeah.
You see how life has become easy, information is right in our fingertips, and you can only imagine what the future holds for us. So it's quite an interesting journey for organizations, for us as individuals. Everything that we've done is actually changed because of what has been happening in that space.
Yeah. So actually that documentary was really triggering you.
Yes, it was. It was very intriguing because it brings out a very controversial information as well. And also it brings out aspects of AI that gets you thinking. To say, I need to participate in this space. I need to use AI in my day-to-day life. Otherwise, I'll find myself redundant in my career, or I'll find myself overtaken by events.
Yeah, indeed. And for you, Stephan?
ChatGPT was, I think, my first encounter into the AI space. And I'm really liking to use it to a large extent only as a advanced search engine, I have to admit. But also in my daily practice, it's really to help me enhancing basically, even like writing an email, preparing a presentation, those kind of things is where I'm using AI at the moment. And it's just, remarkable, basically what kind of feedback it brings and how much advanced the feedback is that you get from it. So that's already where it's improving basically our daily work. Besides even the interesting use case that we see for our clients in our really banking environment that we're also going to talk about today.
Yeah. So what is AI basically? We're talking about enhancing our lives. It's AI. And kind of a couple of years back, I even thought about robots. Okay, we've passed that stage. So what is AI actually?
Yeah, so computers have been already evolving since decades. It's something where computers have been able to help humans in a way over more and more complex tasks. However, to really actually come up with some more human intelligent way of interaction, that's where AI is now kicking in. And we've seen it, for example, where computers were able to play chess games against the world's best chess players, and still they were able to win. But it's now the next step by making them more human-like, where AI actually is now kicking in. Also examples for taking medical diagnosis, some investigation of medical photos. Those are things where humans typically really had to chip in. And now AI is playing a role where they can really do more human type like of analysis. But it's also the robots that you were just referring to. Robots, and that sounds quite scary sometimes, or a chatbot, always used to be more like R2-D2, and now R2-D2 becomes more and more human in that respect. You don't notice the difference anymore comparing against a computer versus a human, which can be scary, but if you implement it well, that's really the advantage AI will also bring to you.
So I like how you put that, R2-D2 indeed. Even a voice like this can sound very much human-like. But why should financial institutions start implementing AI?
Yeah, there are several reasons why you should start using it. Already, as what we were saying before, it will help basically improving operational efficiency, like reducing manual efforts with chatbots, things like that. However, there are also more areas where it also will increase, let's say, the opportunities that that can be gained by introducing AI, introducing computers into where tasks which were typically much more human focused. For example, in marketing and sales. Making use of the available market data and client data, it can better predict and propose solutions for clients. Even in financial services, we're now seeing use cases where front office has been able to increase their sales targets by effectively introducing AI in their daily processes. One of the other huge opportunities lies in the capability of AI to predict patterns in available data. This is, for example, what we see in risk processes. By having large data pools available and using AI to generate patterns from it, also risks are now becoming more and more apparent, which we were not able to detect previously. But also in finance, it helps predicting trends in markets and companies' performance. And in this way, more informed steering decisions can be made, helping basically all C-level board members steering the bank's directions.
So there's a huge thing in also the predictive nature in things and actually being ahead of the market. And how then can you position AI in the overall strategy of financial institutions?
Yeah, when you look at AI, organizations have to be very deliberate in terms of implementing it in their companies, in their operations. It's something that starts at a strategic level. So first of all, you have to define clear objectives to say this is how we're going to approach AI going forward, or this is how we're going to use AI to either to improve efficiency in our operations, to increase sales, to predict better to develop better predictive models, or to achieve better customer satisfaction through the use of AI. So as at a strategic level, we have to define clear objectives. And also, after you have defined clear objectives, you have to move into the planning and organization stage or implementation stage, where you're looking at how best can you collaborate with other organizations, how best can you build use cases around AI, because there's vast use cases where you can actually apply AI. You also need to zero in on those use cases. You need to see how best you can align with the regulator. Right now, there's quite a lot of work that is going on in the regulatory space around AI. So you need to see how you can align also with the regulator from a governance point of view. You need to see from a talent space to say, do we have the skills as an organization to build into AI? So to develop models, to be able to train models, you look at all sorts of things around that. So it's very deliberate. So it's not something that can happen today, or something that happens overnight. It's a process that the organization just has to look at and see how they can also measure and monitor over time. So it's something that doesn't happen overnight.
No. Yeah, so the deliberateness of this, but also to really have some check and balances to what extent AI has a soil to even grow.
Yeah.
And when we talk about pitfalls, because so this is how we can implement it, can you also share with us, maybe you can do that, Stephan, what to really be aware about? Because this sounds like really a handful.
Yeah, so like Brian was indicating, there's many opportunities, of course, and sometimes they really see quite straightforward already to achieve. But for example, the technology itself, which is quite often understood to be the magical potion to achieve all these benefits, that's not all of it. You really should be aware of some other pitfalls. And one of them is really to think through a full data strategy and the quality of available data. And it sounds sometimes easier because already like financial institutions so much rely on data to incorporate an overall data strategy and data availability and clean and qualitative data available for the entire organization is something you really clearly have to develop a strategy about and around it to make sure it's available for getting all the potential and opportunities that AI actually can offer. And one of the other aspects is also the talent and skills that you need for getting all the data or basically all the opportunities from the available data available. It's something where you need to think about data scientists, machine learning experts, domain experts, but also AI specialists, of course. And absence of those people around, you really have to think twice before you really start implementing an AI journey in that respect. And one of the last items or pitfalls that I'd like to mention are also some ethical and responsible thoughts and considerations that you need to put in when you start with AI. Something I've also seen in one of the financial institutions in the Netherlands is basically they started using client data to also expose some of the insights that they got from it to the outside world. And that actually also caused so much noise and frowns with all the customers and basically also in the country, I would even say, that this caused much more reputational data than they actually thought about at the beginning. So you really need to consider carefully what will you all do with the available data and insights, and how you will expose them either within your organization or even sometimes worse, outside your organization.
Yeah. So indeed, we already do a lot within financial institutions with data. But as you say, be mindful also with AI. There's actually an extra stretch on that. Also be mindful about the data collective strategy around that, but also the data cleansing. And as you hear, also the strength and capability within the organizational, like in the talent space or skill base, it even sounds like a first newborn AI generation of skilled people that are actually need to be born still and get to be, grown up. So that's in itself already
it's definitely a different type of, let's say, skill, mentality that you need to have, how to think, what can all be achieved with AI.
Yeah. But I also am now feeling quite a bit of a sensitivity I have created indeed now, that also in a financial eco domain, you need to be really careful about also the responsible AI. So what's ethical, not only within the company, but also especially when you push it outside. So I think definitely. That's really, and so, maybe you can share some really concrete use cases that I have an idea, okay, how does it actually work on the 9-to-5 work floor within finance and risk? Some use cases maybe.
Yeah, so you'll notice that within the bank, there's two things really that keep us up at night. And one of those is our customers. We have to make sure that our customers are happy. And the other part is the regulator. If you step on the cons of the regulator, trust me, you find yourself risking your license being taken. So as financial institutions, we can actually leverage on AI to see how best we can optimize our processes, how best we can manage our balance sheet better, how best we can optimize even our interest rate risk strategies. So there's quite a lot of use cases, but today I'll just touch on two, mainly around regulatory reporting. And you notice right now, there's so many use cases around automating your reports to the central bank, ensuring that you deliver quality reports to the central bank. So that is something that you can always leverage on AI because data can easily be generated and reports can be automated, scripts can be run very quickly, and that cuts down on a lot of time for the organization. And there's so much that is also going on in terms of requirements from the central bank in terms of how the reports should be structured, what you need to report on metric side, and that you can always leverage on AI in terms of generating reports quickly. The second use case really is around asset and liability management, of which there's quite a lot of work that we do with data. And imagine if you've got AI to develop models, imagine if you've got AI to leverage on to develop real-time models and also to predict how the future will work. That's something that we can always leverage on AI on. So you look at balance sheet forecasting. You can always leverage on AI, putting in market trends, putting in economic data, economic indicators into your balance sheet, and being able also to enhance liquidity and cash flow from on a day-to-day to ensure that as a bank, you've got enough money to meet your obligations and also you've got enough money to give out in loans. So this is something that you can always be able to forecast through the use of AI. And the sky's the limit. It's you cannot really predict how far we can go with AI because it unlocks certain opportunities that were not really possible in the past. You know, so in the past, predictive models were very limited, but right now you can always put your model, your data, you train it, and it can always give you endless possibilities, which is something that gives financial institutions an added advantage.
So indeed, so on a regulatory end, you say, well, we can have some quite heavy weight now with AI in producing those automatic reports. So that's already a huge, I think, leap in time. Financial institutions can reach there. But also the second part, what you say, also looking at the balance sheet in itself, Cherien, there is a huge advantage in actually the predictive strength. What will be X, A, and Z in time, and actually forecasting that transpires down on, okay, how much leverage or cash we have to need now set aside, or what we can actually spend for other things. I think that's quite it's almost a revolution, so to say. So if I hear this, we've talked about the what, why, and also the how part, and I've heard some interesting use cases, and also what to be mindful of, Stephan. Concluding, if you say, Cherien, and also to our audience, what would you say? Okay, you can forget the rest, but this is something I really want to set out there today to memorize.
So, of course, and specifically what Brian was just alluding to, there's so much potential and opportunity in utilizing and introducing AI in, let's say, daily processes. Brian just outlined some quite complex business processes where it can be used. And so that really will increase basically opportunities for a financial institution or within finance a risk of what they can do in terms of predictive analysis. But operational efficiency, but also in marketing and sales, what we talked about, those are really things where, you really can benefit by introducing AI. That's something you should really take away also from this podcast. But on the other side, really also don't forget about the pitfalls. Sometimes it sounds easy, and I've seen it already happening where some initiatives have started quite easily to existing teams just go ahead with introducing or exploring the opportunities of AI, but didn't really consider what is all the data that I need, who are all the people that we need to have around, but also the technology, which it still takes. That should not be underestimated when you start embarking in such a journey. You really need to set it up differently compared to your normal, let's say, old-fashioned database, data flow, insights, data reporting type of projects. This is a different ballgame. And if you don't consider all the other aspects that have been mentioned in this podcast today, you will find yourself, it's going to be very expensive, but also not giving you all the opportunities that you can get out of this. So that's really something, I think, one of the items for the takeaways from this podcast for our audience.
So the pitfalls are gold. And what would you say, Brian?
I think from my side, the sky's the limit when it comes to what organizations can do with AI. However, just to also improve on, or also to add on to Stephan's point, garbage in, garbage out. So organizations just have to take a stand to say, we've got this quality of data that we've got this data set that we have, that we're going to train over time to help us make decisions better. So it's imperative that organizations improve on their data. They know the data set that they're going to be using, the data that they're going to be training, because your future models or your future decision-making are just going to be determined with what you're going to feed your tool or your AI instruments with. If you don't have the right quality of data, guess what? 10 years down the line, you find yourself implementing AI, but going the opposite direction. So that's one of the pitfalls that Stephan brings in to say, you actually have to invest heavily in your strategy and also ensure that you don't take it as something that is going to happen overnight, but build over it over time. Take time to actually look at your model and see how you can improve it over time.
Yeah. Well, I like that one. I will close off with garbage in, garbage out. Be mindful.